Hello, guys. Dividend Enjoyer here. And today I want to talk about how these big market drops are a thing that transfers wealth from very, very impatient people and scared people, emotional people, to very rational, very patient, long term minded people. And so what happens is there's a big drop, maybe private equity, maybe hedge funds, big money, or just a large amount of money pulls out. So then there's a panic. All these people start selling. They want to preserve what value they can get. The people who have valuations for stocks, the people who understand that this is a buying opportunity, this is actually an opportunity that when all the sheep are jumping off the mountain, you want to go the opposite way. So they start buying these shares from these people that are dumping them, right? High quality companies, blue chip companies that can do very well over the long term. And so they keep buying and the stocks keep dropping and they keep dropping. And it's like catching a falling knife. And then eventually maybe they stop and they just continue to hold those shares out. But eventually the stocks do come back. The earnings get better. The economy improves. And this is how it's been for, years and years and years. That's just how it's been since even in the collapse. I mean, the roaring 20s was the biggest drop, I believe. It was like, it's been that way forever. I mean, that's really been the natural kind of progression of how things have moved throughout the stock market. And it's the retail people that get scared and see the big red number and say, oh man, I lost, and then jump out and lose their money. But it's the smart, patient people that stay in and buy those shares for cheaper and buy a higher ownership in the revenue producing engine like this, the company that is producing money, kind of the same way as a farm. And they view it that way. It's those people that end up making the money because eventually the stock comes back. And in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine, meaning that, people are trying to vote on which stock they think is the coolest or whatever. But in the long term, it's a weighing machine, meaning that you really weighed on your results and kind of your NPV expected from real results, usually. I mean, we have a lot of mania right now, and I think there are a lot of stocks that are just scams and, bubbles and really a lot of crypto scams, things like that. There's a lot of bullshit out there for sure. But I think if you're looking at high quality things that you've deemed are good businesses, maybe monopolistic, just the best businesses you can think of that you would want to be a full owner of, 100%, that you believe is going to increase its revenue the most, be the most profitable, and stay for a very long period of time. You've analyzed the financials, you've modeled it, or you've done some kind of research on it, and you have a price that you think those cash flows are worth. So then you want to buy that when it drops. You want to get more of it because it's a revenue producing thing. It's better than owning property, in my opinion. And it's an unprofessional opinion again because I'm in a basement. But I really believe that a lot of businesses are better than houses because houses, there's so much more work that you have to do in terms of generating revenue out of them. And so many things that can go wrong, so many expenses. Whereas if you own Microsoft, it's going to continue to give you good margins. It's going to continue increasing the revenue. It just doesn't make sense to have something like that. But that's besides the point. Speaking about big market drops like this, it's an opportunity because you have to see a company as what it is. It's a thing that produces money. It's an entity that's sole purpose is to produce as much profit, as much cash flow as it can, and distribute that and increase the equity to the shareholders. And so when these companies drop lower, it offers a unique opportunity to have higher ownership of that enterprise for cheaper. And over the long term, you'll look so much smarter if you're buying when everyone else is telling you don't buy, this is falling, like this is terrible, this is a terrible thing that's happening, right? The only reason you should maybe be selling out of a company is if your outlook has changed on it, and that's the reason that you're selling out. If you think now that the business has fundamentally changed, or there's some new competitor that's come in, like, for example, maybe if you were a Nokia investor and you saw the iPhone or the BlackBerry, maybe you would want to rotate out of that stock just because, those are more risky kind of plays, right? I think cell phone companies generally are kind of risky, other than maybe Apple personally, whatever you define risk as, right? But looking at it though, I mean, there are a lot of good opportunities to get companies that are going to generate revenue for the very long term, for the rest of your life. And you just got to stay rational. I mean, you're going to see a red number on your screen and it's going to make you really sad. It's going to make you question if you're an idiot, if you're doing the wrong thing. And for me, it's like sometimes it's even more because, I'm showing these positions to people sometimes, right? And, I'm like kind of putting myself on the line, but I believe I'm right here. I think it's time to be buying more. That's my personal non financial advice opinion, but I am urging myself in my basement not to sell any of my stocks. And that's my opinion that I've come to. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be trying to purchase more. I want to get more of the defensive stocks because I really feel like foundationally you need waste management or a company that's extremely defensive. That is what I want as the core, as the like pillar of my portfolio, so that it's just having consistent good gains that are increasing year over year and the revenues increasing consistently year over year. The dividend is having a good compound annual growth rate. And I'm able to then distribute that across the network of my positions. But I think it's important to get that position built up first because it's a very, in my opinion, more defensive, more high value position that's going to casually increase year from year. But it's not going to have as many down years. So if there is some period of time where, let's say, people are rotating back into defensive stocks and they're surging into waste management again, I could sell off some of my waste management and then pick up their tech stocks for way cheaper than what they bought them for. And that's a way that I can win more and more and more and be very rational. Because it doesn't really make as much sense to me why waste management would be as down as it is right now. I know that they just barely missed their earnings, but I believe it was because of bad commodity pricing. I think that they've done an amazing job, and I want to continue to be a shareholder in this company. And I think that the long term gains are really there. And yeah, if you've seen the historic compound annual growth rate of the dividend, that's been very good as well. But overall, with the whole market dropping, there are a lot of other opportunities. I think Meta is one that's worth looking at. I definitely think that Meta at 600 is a lot more attractive than Meta at 750. I had obviously sold out of all of my Meta just because I felt like there was a lot of hype in it. And I think that intuition was correct because the stock has dropped so much. And I feel like I could buy it back from those same people that maybe bought it from me at the top. So that's kind of my strategy for that. I think that there's a lot of good opportunities here. Maybe people will laugh at you, call you an idiot for still wanting stocks, say, oh man, you should be selling out. Stocks aren't the way to go. Just look at it for what it is. It is an enterprise that produces profits over time, produces revenue, creates more capital, and its goal is to continue to grow. If you think it has continued growth and you think that, if you liked buying, let's say XYZ stock at 330, you're going to like it even more at 250. You can own more of a percentage of the company for a lower amount of money. So then if the company becomes worth a higher valuation, you can sell out for more money. But if you sell out when it drops low and just collect your cash and say, whew, man, I sure feel good about that. I can write that off on my taxes or whatever, right? Um, you're going to feel really stupid when it rebounds. So then you miss out on those gains. And then you jump back in when everything's going up and then you lose your butt again. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I think you should be very greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy. And that's just kind of my rant on it. That's kind of my opinion. I think people also overreact because I don't think we've really seen the kind of, terrible things that could happen in the market and the crazy drops that really could affect people. I don't think we've seen like a crazy enough of one in our lifetimes. I think a lot of people haven't really experienced 2008 in the same way. You can kind of tell who has and hasn't. Uh, and I really think that, we might be due for that. I mean, maybe the AI bubble will pop. We'll see. If it does, I'll be very happy to pick up more Amazon, to pick up more Microsoft and all of those types of companies. But for right now, I think I want to build up my waste management position because I believe that's a strategic one to build up. Same with the Vici position. So then I can fund my portfolio for the long term. And that way, with higher dividends, I can reinvest those into some potential companies that'll drop. Because I think most likely the tech companies are going to drop more if they're going to drop. And I think that those are some good things to snag up. I think even now, snagging up some of these companies, like again, Meta, I think is a good one. But that's my opinion on it. That's kind of how I feel about when the market drops the way it has. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section down below. I'm really interested to hear your guys' opinions. Um, Thanks again. Bye.